for today we are going to be reading 15 crazy Pokemon fan theories that were actually confirmed. Ooh, I'm actually excited for this. I don't think I've ever read this one before. The Pokemon franchise is a gargantuan worldwide phenomenon. I'm surprised I've read those two big words because my big dumb brain doesn't like to choose the biggest words ever. Being around for 22 years as of its writing, the staying power of its franchise is astounding, rivaling other juggernauts like Power Rangers and Transformers, but somehow remaining even more cherished. However, with the great popularity comes an immense amount of hearsay and rumors. After the debut of original show and Game Boy games, playgrounds across the world were flooded with excitement. Friendsites talk about in the games to show countless characters, a two-to-toll Pokemon, and most importantly, many secrets of the Pokemon world. For years, the rumors have been born on playgrounds, but turned into genuine theories and have captured the imagination of fans all around the globe. While many did not pan out, there were a few that were eventually confirmed, and we wanted to give those to the light for you. For our sources, we use nearly each and every piece of official media. This means the shows, comics, movies, games, the soundtrack, even the live musical. Also, one more thing, a select few entries on this list have yet to be explicitly proven, but there have been some heaps of demonstrative evidence to support them from off official media, so we counted them anyways. After all, there's no debating an increasingly clear conclusion. With that in mind, let's catch them with the 15 crazy Pokemon fan theories that were actually confirmed. Number 15, Jessie and James are a couple. The duo that prepares for trouble and makes a double has been a long staple of the Pokemon franchise. Jessie and James made their debut in the anime and so-called antagonists that work for the villainous Team Rocket. Their formatically bumping efforts always recruited tremendous and embarrassed failure, but it was hard not to appreciate how dedicated to the task of capturing Ash's Pikachu were. Of course, although going through thick and thin together, there have always been fans rumbling as to whether or not the two partners in crimes were actually partners in something else less salacious. The line actually turned out to be true and was confirmed in the manga The Electric Tale of Pikachu, where the anime left their relationship ambiguous, with only a few hints here and there to percolate the minds of theorists everywhere. The manga's epilogue was far more explicit, having James reveal his feelings to his red-haired companion. These two are not only showed to be married later on, but it appears they also have a baby on the way. We assume that means the talkative Meowth is on his free room in the board situation to make his way for the budding room. Poor thing. Dude, I can't imagine that. Number 14, Cubone and Kangaskhan are linked. One of the most predominant Pokemon rumors is regarding the relationship between the two entirely separate Pokemon, the skull-helmeted Cubone and the baby-toting name after warlord Pokemon Kangaskhan. At first glance, the two little bear resembling or obvious clues to any kind of relationship, but years of fan theories dug deep until gold was found. In short, Cubo has an awfully depressing story, with his Pokédex entry claiming that he was lonely after his mother passed away, and that's why he wears her skull upon his head, constantly mourning her. Kangaskhan's entry is far less depressing, but it details that it prevents its ever-present baby lose its pouch when it's 3 years old. The baby and Cubone look rather familiar. So what if Kangaskhan, less than the age of 3, lost its mother and donned her skull on its head? Would it have mutated into a Cubone? This seems improbable at first, but although it's never been directly confirmed in the series, creators in related media continually add more fuel to the fire, to the point where the theory is as likely as the unspoken truth. For example, Cubone and Kangaskhan have started consistently appearing in the wild at the same locations throughout multiple generations. Cubone has also cried for help in certain games. None other than a Kangaskhan appears. To top it all off, in the credits of the latest Pokemon movie, Cubone and Kangaskhan appear together. At this point, things seem to be far more than a coincidence. Number 13, Mr. Fuji had a hand in Mewtwo's creation. In the original Pokemon games, Mr. Fuji is a kind-hearted older gentleman who looks after abandoned or orphaned Pokemon in Lavender Town. Ooh, Lavender Town. can never go serious with Lavender Town. He is best known for his role of the infamous subplot regarding the ghost of Marowak in Pokemon Tower and his distaste of Team Rocket for their abusive ways. Upon solving the hunting of defeating Team Rocket, this kindly man would have given the player a Pokeflu. That seems simple enough, yeah, right? Yet, no matter how cut and dry the aspects of the earliest games were, there was just something extremely mysterious and alluring about the intriguing world, where there seemed to be greater truth hiding just off the screen somewhere. Because of this, even one-dimensional character like Mr. Fuji captivated players' imaginations and made them question his true role. These questions were only heightened after Pokemon Mansion, where the players got his first hints of the dark subplot involving Mewtwo and the mysterious Mew, which were both fueled of their own rumors. What really set things off, though, was the Pokemon movie, where the prologue shows off a doctor named Fuji being one responsible for creating Mewtwo. This inspired theories to believe that Mr. Fuji was once been this very doctor, and they were right. In later games, they heavily implied that he was a major player in the creation of Mewtwo, and was more heavily implied during the animation Pokemon Origins. Consider this case closed. Number 12. Lavender Town's music is empirically creepy. Sort of. Have you ever heard of a creepypasta? Essentially, there are sorts of stories on the internet to terrify the reader. Most effective and legendary, these involve childhood memories such as SpongeBob SquarePants, or in this particular case, Pokemon. Most of the Pokemon creepypastas are fun, but the ones that end up being the most remembered and feared seem to involve a specific location in Generation 1 Pokemon games, Lavender Town. While the dreary tower's ominous Pokemon graveyard and imposing tower are chilling in their own lights, it's eerie music that accompanies the player's trek that leaves the greatest impact, and the element that has been captivated writers and readers of creepypasta for years. However, why does the song scare us so much? It is possible that there are really something evil within this tune. Is it conceivable that somewhere inside of one of these tones is a game of truth? Well, in a way, yes. There's something specifically creepy about particular Lavender Town theme, and we're going to explain it as concisely as possible. In short, one of the most famous creepypastas regarding this town had been infamous theme playing in the background. This users altered the track to contain binaural beats, which supposedly alter brainwaves. In this crates, they created dread. So while the original song is definitely something that's spooky, the version that the legendary had people becoming incredibly terrified was altered with weird brain-changing sounds, which also makes it scarier. Number 11. Giovanni fathered Silver. Before I read this, I want to put pictures up where I could probably figure out how to do that in editing, put pictures up of the theory. So if I know how to do that, I'll just put it here. If I don't, then I'm a shit YouTuber, and I'll just put it on the thumbnail. Yeah. The rival character in the origin entries of Pokemon series was named Blue, which was rather fitting considering the official name of the player character was Red. Despite such a low-tech game, Blue's personality was definitely conveyed through the minimal writing. His obnoxious attitude and "smell you later" catchphrase legitimately painted an interesting and effective character. Of course, in the anime, we know this chap is Gary, as he retained the same streak of a guy who he loved to hate. That brings us to Silver, a rival in Pokemon Gold and Silver. His mysterious appearance has captivated theorists in the game's release. Since there isn't really anything concrete that we learned about him, he seems to show no hesitation in committing criminal acts, hates weaknesses, and Team Rocket doesn't treat his Pokemon right. Who exactly is this guy, and where did he come from? Easy. He's Giovanni's son. In Fire Red and Leaf Green, we learned a little bit more about the character, which fed theories surrounding him. A scientist spots Red, and for a moment he thinks it's Giovanni's son, but he realizes it's a mistake because Giovanni's son has red hair, not unlike Silver's. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, proof of his parentage is all but confirmed, with Celebi showing the player Giovanni disowning Silver after his defeat. Lastly, the manga Pokemon Adventure starring Silver ensues, all hinting until he confirms the relationship between the two. Number 10. The Mew-Ditto Connection. The long-standing theory postulates that Ditto are failed clones of Mew, and the evidence is rather staggering. In Pokemon Yellow, Ditto was specifically found in the Unknown Dungeon in the Pokemon Mansion, two places that instinctively linked a Mew and Mewtwo. Speaking of Mewtwo, it's stated that the only successful clone of the original, implying that there were numerous failed attempts. Then there are comparable abilities in the two creatures. Both Mew and Ditto share the same base stats and the only Pokemon capable of using Transform. Going even further into that, Mew's DNA is shared combined information of all Pokemon. Coincidentally, Ditto is able to mate with every single Pokemon successfully, which further solidates the evidence. The only run this theory suggests that it might be false is that in an interview with a Game Informer, two Pokemon employees claim that they've never heard of this theory. This might sound like a case closed to some sorts, but these two particular employees were not on staff during the development of the original games, which could mean that they weren't there for the discussion of the subject. Considering the evidence and how specifically these two beings correlate, it's hard to say whether or not that these things were intentional. Number 9, Misty loves Ash. One question that's burned in the hearts of those who are still too young to think members of the opposite gender were anything but gross, we were still obsessed with Pokemon during this initial run, was, did Misty have feelings for Ash? We only confirmed that does not only Misty have feelings for Ash, that she is utterly in love with Adult. Our source? None other than the greatest album, Pokemon 2, B.A. Master. The epic album, which was way catchier than it should have been, contained a wide variety of tracks, but our attention was drawn to specifically track 11, Misty's Song. A story telling us of a trio of heroes going to sleep after a long day of adventuring. Ash cheerfully saying goodnight to Brock and Pikachu, but grunts in the same sentence to Misty, who quietly whispers back sweet dreams. It's a dreamy ballad begins with lyrics that describes the youthful yearning of how Misty just wants to come out and reveal her feelings, but is afraid to say them. Then at the very end, you turn the volume up and you hear Misty say, whisper, I love you, to a sleeping Ash who stirs, then asks what she said. Misty then painfully denies saying anything. After hearing this song, 8-year-olds everywhere, including us, could safely confirm Misty's feelings as we cried ourselves to sleep, trying to process the complex emotions at play. Oh my god, that hurts my heart. Number 8, Professor Oak was meant to be your ultimate challenge. After years of traveling across the land, searching far and wide, players were able to collect an enormous amount of critters, if but not all, that were needed to trade for those who possess another versions. That they did, unlike they had a full Pokemon Dex of all 150, Pocket Monster, or 151 if you're lucky enough to get a Mew at the event. After battling the Gym Raiders, crushing Elite Four, and finally defeating your rival once and for all, you declare yourself champion and proudly show off your complete collection of Pokemon. Do you know what you would receive? Do you know what you received for that task? A diploma. That's awfully boring, but wasn't it supposed to be this way? For years, players wondered if there was more to be done. One final challenge, most elite among them all, and there was. Deep within the game's data, it seems that Professor Oak has a full team of Pokemon at his disposal, and that were the most powerful than any trainer in the entire experience. Professor Oak would likely have served as a true final challenge for most powerful Pokemon Masters, and although a battle with Oak can't be triggered normally, it can be activated through cheating, so perhaps it's time to bust out your team of 6 and prove what it's meant to be a Pokemon Master. Number 7. Arcanine was, at some point, legendary. I know this theory. Arcanine is a favorite amongst all 151 Pokemon. Seriously, there are only a handful of things cooler than a giant dog with a lion-like mane, tiger-esque stripes, and a command on fire that you can ride him like a horse? Sounds pretty legendary, doesn't it? Even the game itself agrees. The fiery dog straight up called a legendary Pokemon in the original Pokedex. However, why is it the case? The true legendary Pokemon at Numpoint, not counting Mew or Mewtwo, were the legendary birds Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. Yet in plain text, the game refers to the canine as a legendary. The anime only added fuel to the fire for speculative fans. The opening show prominently features Ash running alongside an enormous Arcanine, as the camera sees accompanying Rapidash into the sky. What do we see? Zapdos and Moltres. There's an episode which shows a stone slab containing engravings of legendary Pokemon. Aside from the 3 birds, who do you think is on that slab? Arcanine. Animation takes a long time to create, so production for the series likely started while the game was still being developed. The above evidence heavily suggests that Arcanine was at some point legendary, but the status was cut in the developers for unknown reasons, and the anime was too deep into production to alter early episodes to reflect the change. Number 6, Richie is red. In the West, our first exposure to Pokemon was through the anime. When games hit, we all thought the main character was supposed to be Ash, just like the show. We were surprised, though, that many aspects of the show differed from the game. For example, Misty and Brock never joined us on our quest, and Pikachu wasn't a choice for our starter Pokemon. That was all for a very good reason, though, and the reason is a character named Richie who became friends with Ash. Near the conclusion of the Pokemon League saga, the two faced off in a high-striking battle, and Ash would fail to move on. How could Ash fail? How could the character we controlled in the games lose to a chump? The answer is simple. Ash isn't the main character of the game. Richie is. While never outright stated Richie's outfit is nearly identical of that of Red, but the game's character. Defeating Ash and moving up the league was proof that Richie is one of the players that was controlling all along. Despite failing to achieve total victory in the league, and similarities are clearly intentional, and it shows the pool of fools in the West why Brock and Misty never joined up with us, we were Ash. Of course, there's also the inconsistency with Gary and Blue being Ash's rival, but not Richie's. It's clear enough that Richie was meant to at least represent Red, if not entirely embodied him. Oh no. Number 5. People eat Pokemon. Ever since the debut franchise, people asked if normal animals exist in the world of Pokemon. If we considered multiple sources such as the games and their Pokédexes or the anime, we see a few rare instances of typical animals being mentioned or ever seen, but it is to be the exception, but not the rule. So what do people eat? What do people eat in the world of Pokemon? Pokemon seem to eat little Cocoa Puff, Nugget things, or even other Pokemon. People, on the other hand, seem to eat typically people food. There are fruits, nuts, and berries, but if regular animals are so rare, then what is the meat the humans are seen eating? Well, that meat would be Pokemon. The gang furiously wanted to chow down on a Magikarp during St. Anne incident, but that was out of desperation, right? Wrong. One needs only a few hours of Pokemon Gold or Silver to see that proof. Team Rocket are hunting Slowpoke in order to gather their tails, like real-life poachers hunt elephants for their tusks. Unlike tusks, however, Slowpoke tails are edible and apparently a delicacy. Other game series have also Pokédex entries to refer to what Pokemon taste like. Additionally, the Pokemon mentions that Farfetch'd were priced for their meat and were hunted. The last video ended on me, so we'll just get right back to it. So disturbing as it might be to picture a skewered Swinub, it's pretty clear that Pokemon are major food sources for people. Number 4, Peekaboo actually existed. Back in the late 80s to early to mid 90s, there was no more potent source of disinformation for children than a rampant playground rumors regarding their favorite video game. While NES classics such as the original Legend of Zelda thriving on having their sequences staged with friends, there's also enormous amounts of absolutely false rumors. Did you know that you could turn Arwig lasers in Star Fox 64? Or that you can get the Triforce at Ocarina of Time? What about the fact that Goku can be unlocked in Super Smash Bros? While above are some examples of non-existent playground talk, the massive hit of Pokemon brought forth the most intriguing but wrong rumors, some pushing an off-screen truck near an SS Anne with string capture to capture Mew. While that likely most well-known rumor, it's a legend that Pokegods truly captured the imagination. Charcoal, Peekaboo, Doomsday, their names are legendary. There were even more supposed Pantheon to supposedly acquire these impossible, powerful deities. Players had to perform absurd tasks to speak to Oak 100 times to gain entry to Bill's Secret Garden. In reality, the solution to obtaining these Pokegods was easier to simply wait a few years to buy Pokemon Gold and Silver and catch Peekaboo, or Mew, or Meryl, rather. Sorry, I can't talk. Yes, the entire Peekaboo Fulfur was based on a grainy picture of Meryl concepts art of the Buddy Infinite. It's strange to admit, but one Pokegod exists after all. Number 3, Ash's parentage. Dalia Ketchum is always one of the most mysterious figures in the Pokemon anime and even the franchise at large. That might sound pretty weird, but considering that she's the mother of the series' main character and most important aspect of his life, we really don't know much about her. Come to think of it, we don't know much about Ash either, which is why he's likely a subject of all kinds of theories. For example, one states that his entire series is a dream born and from a coma, hence why Ash never seems to age. However, out of all theories, dark or otherwise, one question rises to summit. Who is Ash's father? According to official materials, Delilah says that Ash's father married her then rather quickly departed in order to be a Pokemon trainer, which seems fishy. Then, where Pokemon Live comes in, there's a stage show from a height of Pokemon Mania featuring elaborate puppetry, catchy music, and legitimately well-done performances. Live is a fantastic and trippy treat for Poke fans. Shockingly, it had a major revelations regarding Ash's parentage and aspects of daily life. The wild twist is that revealed that Giovanni was once romantically involved with Delilah. Not only that, but Delilah was apparently part of his budding criminal organization. She claims that she left Giovanni after meeting Ash's father, but that also seems fishy. If anything, it seems that Delilah is covering up the truth for Ash, Oak, and even herself. That honestly sounds so... Oh my god. I can't even... What if Giovanni was Ash's father? Oh my god, that would be crazy. Number 2, Pokemon takes place in the real world. The currently known Pokemon regions in the game are Kanto, Seville Islands, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, and Alolan. While they are unique in many ways, including the kinds of Pokemon that inhabit them, they are part of cohesive and the unique world. All of them are based on real-life locations such as Paris, and the others are shaped like certain parts of Japan. While there are real-life inspirations to these religions, surely the world of Pokemon is an entirely fictional realm, right? Wrong. The regions of Pokemon are a part of our world, no matter how non-sequential that sounds. Throughout the series, Pokédex entries mention real-world places and certain characters who even travel them. Lieutenant Surge was part of the war, and he fought based on a Pokemon World War theory that people seem to have overlooked the fact that he was referred to was the Pokemon, the Lightning American as in the United States. However, there is more Arcanine's Pokédex entry explicitly refers to China. Also, where's Mew's DNA found? South America. People have also been talking about and visiting real-world locations since Generation 1, and it seems that this fact has been glossed over multiple times. Without a doubt, considering this theory of Pokemon taking place in our world, a fact. And coming in at number 1, Missing No was a real Pokemon. The Pokemon franchise have been filled with theories that range from outlandish to reasonable. With this list, we hope to show out the certain theories that legitimately confirm that one way or another, whether it be demonstrated evidence or direct acknowledgement. However, why was Pokemon plagued to have so many rumors in the first place? It is an immense population with contributing factors, but it is one specific aspect that opened floodgates, Missing No. The eerie massive corruption data that coasts the Cinnabar Islands and Pokemon Red and Blue, and almost impossible to process the young minds playing the game for the first time. Why was it a mysterious creature? What does it look like this? Why do I have infinite Master Balls? What happens if I catch it? What happens if I catch it? Is Missing No a legitimate Pokemon? Years later, the answers were revealed. Missing No, in all of its form, seemed to be leftover data of a Generation 2 Pokemon. Not only do a few of these glitch beasts have unique cries, but they have been traded in with Generation 2. Corrupt forms become Pokemon that form that generation. In fact, most of the 39 Missing No, forms directly correlates to specific Gen 2 creatures. While it seems to prove enough, that somewhat sketchy interview with Shigeki Morimoto claims that there are meant to be 190 Pokemon in the first generation, but 39 were cut out and saved for later. Hence, Missing No and all of its mysterious forms. Can you think of any more Pokemon fan theories that were confirmed? Be sure to put those all in the comments, and I might read and find those up on Google. But that is basically it. If you're new to my channel and you love anime as much as I do, be sure to hit subscribe and give a thumbs up. Also, those who make videos such as every Wednesday, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.